Welcome back to Record Rift, where we rip open history's pages to reveal the epic stories that shaped our world. Today, we're charging into the chaos of the 100 Years' War, a sprawling conflict between England and France that raged from 1337 to 1453. Picture clashing knights, besieged castles, and a teenage girl who turned the tide with divine visions. This wasn't just one war, but a series of battles, truces, and betrayals that lasted 116 years, reshaping two nations and the medieval world. What sparked this century-long struggle? How did it transform warfare in society? And who were the heroes and villains who defined it? Over the next 20 minutes, we'll explore the causes, key moments, and lasting legacy of the 100 Years' War. Grab your sword, and let's dive into this epic saga. The 100 Years' War wasn't a single spark, but a fire built on decades of tension. In the 14th century, England and France were Europe's powerhouses, bound by rivalry and tangled ties. The root cause was feudal politics. England's King Edward III, whose mother was French, claimed the French throne in 1337 after King Philip VI took the crown. This wasn't just about succession. England controlled Gascony, a French region vital for wine and trade, and resented French meddling. Meanwhile, France eyed England's will trade with Flanders, a key economic hub. Both sides had scores to settle from earlier conflicts, like the Norman conquest of 1066, when French Normans seized England. Economic and cultural rivalries fueled the fire. England was smaller but scrappy, its longbowmen and wealth giving it clout. France, larger and richer, boasted a chivalric knightly class but was plagued by internal feuds. The Black Death, looming on the horizon, would soon complicate matters, but in 1337, the stage was set. Edward III's defiance of Philip VI, declaring himself France's rightful king, ignited a war neither side could sustain, but neither could abandon. It was less about conquest and more about pride, power, and the feudal ties that bound and divided two kingdoms. The war's first decades were a shock for France. In 1346, Edward III invaded Normandy, unleashing a devastating campaign. At the Battle of Crécy, English longbowmen, peasants wielding 6-foot bows, decimated French knights, proving that chivalry was no match for disciplined archery. Thousands of French nobles fell, their armor pierced by arrows raining from 200 yards. The victory stunned Europe and showed warfare was changing. Edward followed up by capturing Calais, a port England held for centuries. In 1356, Edward's son, the Black Prince, crushed the French again at Poitiers, capturing King John II. France was humiliated, forced to sign the 1360 Treaty of Bretigny, ceding vast territories to England. But victory was fleeting. France, under Charles V, regrouped in the 1370s, using guerrilla tactics and avoiding pitched battles. English gains eroded as French commanders like Bertrand du Guesclin reclaimed towns through sieges and diplomacy. The Black Death, ravaging both sides from 1347, killed millions, disrupting armies and economies. By Edward III's death in 1377, the war was a stalemate. England held key ports like Bordeaux and Calais, but France was resilient. The early phase showed England's military edge, but also the war's grinding toll. Neither side could win outright, and the cost was staggering. The war's middle decades were a mess of truces, rebellions, and civil strife. France descended into chaos after Poitiers, with peasant uprisings like the Jacquerie of 1358 and noble feuds weakening the crown. England faced its own troubles. Richard II's reign saw the Peasants' Revolt of 1381 and political infighting. Both sides raided and plundered, but major battles were rare. The war became a backdrop to internal struggles, with mercenaries and brigands terrorizing the countryside. In 1415, England's young king Henry V reignited the conflict with a bold invasion. At Agincourt, his outnumbered army, exhausted and disease-ridden, faced a massive French force. Again, English longbows proved deadly, mowing down knights mired in mud. Agincourt was a propaganda coup, immortalized by Shakespeare, and Henry V exploited it, conquering Normandy and forcing the 1420 Treaty of Troyes, which named him heir to France's throne. But Henry's death in 1422, followed by France's Charles VI's, left a power vacuum. England controlled northern France, but the French Dauphin, Charles VII, held the south. refusing to surrender. The war's seesaw nature, victory followed by stalemate, highlighted its futility, yet neither side could walk away be why the 1420s France seemed doomed. Enter Joan of Arc, a teenage peasant from Domremy who claimed divine visions urged her to save France. In 1429, she convinced Charles VII to let her lead troops to relieve Orléans, a city under English siege. Clad in armor, Joan inspired French soldiers, breaking the siege in days. Her charisma and faith rallied a demoralized nation, leading to victories like Poitiers. By July 1429, Charles VII was crowned in Reims, legitimizing his rule. Joan's impact was psychological as much as military. She gave France hope, but her story ended in tragedy. Captured by Burgundian allies of England in 1430, Joan was sold to the English, tried for heresy, and burned at the stake in 1431 at age 19. Yet her martyrdom galvanized France. Charles VII reformed the army, adopting artillery and professional troops. By the 1440s, France reclaimed Normandy and Gascony. The final blow came in 1453 at Castillon, where French cannons obliterated an English army, ending England's hopes. The war petered out, no formal treaty, just exhaustion. England kept only Calais, and France emerged unified, its monarchy strengthened. The 100 Years' War reshaped England and France. France, once fractured, became a centralized state, its monarchy bolstered by taxes and a standing army. The war's end laid the groundwork for French dominance in Europe, though internal strife persisted. England, defeated, turned inward, plunging into the Wars of the Roses, a civil conflict fueled by noble rivalries. But the war also forged English identity, with the longbow becoming a symbol of national pride. Warfare evolved dramatically. Longbows and cannons sidelined knightly chivalry, paving the way for gunpowder empires. Castles, once impregnable, fell to artillery. Economically, the war strained both nations, but trade with Flanders and Italy recovered, fueling the Renaissance. Socially, the war empowered commoners. Archers and gunners outshone nobles and weakened feudal ties. Joan of Arc became a global icon, symbolizing faith and resistance. The war's legacy echoes in modern nationalism, military tactics, and the idea that even the longest conflict can end, leaving a transformed world. That's the epic tale of the 100 Years' War, a century of battles, betrayals, and a teenage girl who changed history. What do you think? Could England have won, or was France's revival inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what historical clash you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If this journey through medieval warfare gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep uncovering the rifts that shape our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.